Before TikTok could move on in 24 hours, one entertainment moment can take over every lunch table, radio show, newspaper, and living room for weeks. The 90s gave us scandals, shocking live television, controversial finales, and moments that had everybody saying, "Did you see that?" These are the 10 90s entertainment moments that completely owned the culture. And number one, bro, that halftime show changed everything. This list is not just about movies or music. I'm ranking these by one question: how much did this moment invade everyday conversation? If your parents, teachers, co-workers, and the people on TV were all talking about it, it belongs here. Let's get into it. At number 10, we have the Blair Witch Project. Now, this movie did not just get advertised, it created an entire mystery. The marketing made people wonder if this footage was even real. The internet was still young, so people were searching for answers everywhere. Was this an actual missing person case? Was the footage real? People were debating the movie before they even watched it. That is what made it different. The audience was not just watching the film, they were investigating it. And low key, that was one of the first times the internet helped turn a movie into a cultural obsession. At number 9, the Seinfeld finale. This was one of the biggest television events of the decade. People had spent years watching Jerry, Elaine, George, and Kramer live completely ridiculous lives. So when the finale arrived, everybody had a theory. Was it gonna be emotional? Was it gonna be hilarious? Were these people finally gonna face consequences? And when the ending aired, the debate started immediately. Some people loved it, some people hated it, but nobody was quiet about it. That is the definition of a cultural moment. At number 8, Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield. This fight was already one of the biggest sporting events around. Then Tyson bit Holyfield's ear. Like, bro, this was not a plot twist. This was real life. The fight ended in chaos. Tyson was disqualified and the entire country had an opinion. Was it rage? Was it desperation? Was Tyson completely out of control? That one moment followed him everywhere. People who never watched boxing knew exactly what happened. That is when you know a sports moment has crossed over into full entertainment history. At number 7, Ellen DeGeneres coming out publicly on television in 1997. This was a major moment because it happened at a time when television was much less open about LGBTQ plus identity. The episode became national news. People debated it at home, in newspapers, on talk shows, and everywhere else. There was support, there was backlash, there were advertisers and networks trying to figure out what came next. But the impact was bigger than one episode. It showed millions of viewers that a major television personality could be honest about who they were. That was not just entertainment news. That was culture shifting in real time. At number 6, Titanic. This was not just a movie release. This became an event. People watched it once, then watched it again, then argued about the ending like they personally knew Jack and Rose. The soundtrack was everywhere. The posters were everywhere. Everybody had an opinion about the door. And somehow this movie became part romance, part disaster film, part hysterical conversation, and part personality test. Were you crying? Were you pretending not to cry? Were you arguing that Jack could have fit? The 90s did not just watch Titanic. The 90s lived inside Titanic for months. Remember, it came on 2 tapes. At number 5, the Pokemon episode that caused nationwide panic. After reports that viewers became ill while watching flashing visuals, the episode was pulled and the story exploded across the news. Parents started asking questions. Was Pokemon safe? What exactly were kids watching? And why were children suddenly talking about a cartoon like it was a national emergency? For a lot of 90s kids, this was the first time they realized something from their childhood could become a serious news story. One minute Pokemon was your favorite cartoon, the next minute adults were discussing it like a public crisis. If one of these unlocked a memory, drop it in the comments and tell me, which moment do you remember everybody talking about? At number 4, the Milli Vanilli scandal. They won a Grammy, they had hit songs, they were famous everywhere. Then the public learned that they had not actually sung the vocals on their record. The Grammy was eventually revoked and the story became one of the biggest music scandals of the decade. This was before social media could expose something in 5 minutes. The story spread through television, radio, magazines, and word of mouth. And the lesson was simple. If you fake it long enough, somebody is eventually gonna press play on the wrong tape. At number Number 3, the Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan scandal. This story had everything: elite competition, Olympic pressure, a shocking attack, and non-stop media coverage. The public was not just watching figure skating anymore. They were watching a real-life sports drama unfold through every interview and headline. People even picked sides. People questioned who knew what and when. It became bigger than the competition itself, and the media coverage was so intense that the athletes became household names far beyond the skating world. At number 2, the OJ Simpson Bronco chase. This was one of the strangest live television moments of the decade. A slow police pursuit was happening on the highway, and suddenly networks was interrupting regular programming to show it. People gathered around television, restaurants had it on, bars had it on. Everybody wanted to know what was happening next. This was not a scripted show, but it had the tension of one. Every few minutes, the country was waiting for another update. It showed how quickly celebrity news and live television could collide. And at number 1, Michael Jackson's Super Bowl halftime performance. Before this, the halftime show was often treated like a break between the actual game. But Michael Jackson, he changed that. The entrance, the stillness, the crowd reaction, the performance style, everything felt bigger. For those few moments, the halftime show became the main event. And after that, major artists were expected to treat the halftime like a full concert, not a performance that people ignored while getting snacked. That is the legacy of this moment. Michael Jackson did not just perform at halftime. He turned halftime into appointment television, and I stand on that. The 90s were different because one moment could stay alive for weeks. There was no endless scroll, push a new controversy every 10 seconds. People actually had time to debate, time to argue, time to call their cousin, time to record the news on VHS. And that is why these moments still feel so big today. They did not just happen. They became memories shared by an entire generation. Which one of these moments do you remember everybody talking about? And which 90s moment did I leave off the list? Drop your answer below. Then subscribe, because next up, we taking this straight into the 2000s. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Peace.